Of the two things I've learned never to doubt in my life, number one is my instincts when it comes to betting the ponies. And number two is the minor pentatonic scale shape over pretty much any chord you'll ever talk about, right? So today we're gonna talk a little bit about just different chords, different things you can use minor pentatonic over, which is pretty much just everything, you know what I'm saying? But we're gonna do it in a couple different ways where it's not only blues, but we can talk a little bit about the blues, all right? So before we get to it, this video is sponsored by Elixir Strings. I am so stoked that I'm working with Elixir now because I have used Elixirs exclusively on my acoustic guitars ever since I can remember. People who follow this channel know that I've been pumping Elixir Strings for way before they decided to sponsor any of these videos. So I'm super stoked that they're on board. I'm rocking the 80/20 phosphor bronzes in 12s right now, okay? So affiliate link in the description because they're the best strings, hands down. I refuse to play anything else, all right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with an A7 chord, all right? Now this is a dominant 7 chord. Basically it's a major chord, a major triad with a flat 7 note. Okay, so if we look at the notes in this chord, it's just an A major, an A, a C sharp, an E, and then a G, okay? Now, if you've ever seen the A minor pentatonic scale, I'm sure you have. If you've never seen it, that's weird. That's just something really weird if you've never seen the A minor pentatonic scale shape before. But it looks like this. 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. Okay? So, the weird thing about that is like, all right, well, this is minor pentatonic over a major class chord. Why does it work? Well, you know what? Sometimes unpredictable things just make sense. Like the great Arkong in the Breeders' Cup, that fantastic French thoroughbred horse coming in first. So if we play like A7, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4. What we can do is we can do a thing where we kind of play a little bit of rhythm and then kind of a call and response type deal with something in the A minor pentatonic shape. Okay, so we can start with like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3. Okay, and we're gonna go back and forth between playing the rhythm of the chord, and I'm playing this A7 voicing, where it's my middle finger, the A on the low E string, there's my root note, again, where we make the scale shape from, where we make the chord from, 5E, 4A, 5D, and my pinky is getting the major third of the chord, 6 on the G string. All right, and I'm really just kind of strumming the lowest 4 strings. Then after that, I'm just gonna jump into something minor pentatonic E, okay? A7, I go straight up. Okay, so again, that's not super musical, but it could be a good exercise that you could have fun doing. I think it's more fun if you jump around within that shape. So the number one thing I like doing is something around this area, okay? You slide into the 5th fret on the G string, which is actually the minor 3rd in A, which is a C. We jump in there, jump to the root note on the high E string, which is an A, and then maybe just grab some of these notes right here. 8, 5, 7, 5. Okay, so that's kind of what I think of as a pretty standard minor pentatonic lick, right? And we can do that over an A7 chord. Back to the chord, maybe up. And the cool thing about it is you can really see that there's the major third, but then flattening will give it a specific kind of bluesy sound, right? That interplay between a major third and a minor third. You can think about it that way, or you can just, trust me, it just works. It just works all the time. So now let's go a little bit further, right? Let's make a trifecta. Let's make an unpredictable trifecta. Let's go A7 to C7 to D7. So I'm gonna keep the same shape, but I'm not gonna do a traditional 1, 4, 5 blues, which would be A, D, E, A, C7, D7, back to A7. Okay, so this is a good example of how you can always use minor pentatonic anywhere. The great thing is you just line up where your root note is. You can think of it as like the lower root note and the higher root note. So when I go to that C, I can go right there. It's like, all right, there's my C on the low E string, that 8th fret. I know that's gonna line up with that little minor pentatonic lick that I can do on the 8th fret, right? That whole 8th fret is pretty much fair game for whatever I wanna do, because if you think of C minor pentatonic, now it's 8-11, 8-10, 8-10, 8-10, 8-11, 8-11. So really get familiar with these notes and just start putting them all over the place, all right? Again, I really can't stress enough. That kind of deal right there where you slide into that minor third, announce it, then go to the root, then back up, always hits the spot. Always, it's best in show. Wait, best in show is the wrong thing. It means you're in the money. You're not placing, you're in the money. Straight shot. Right? So A. To D. C. Back to A. So you can always jump around in between and you're just following the chord, you're following the root note. That's the beautiful thing about minor pentatonic is even though there is that little crunchy minor third over major third, it's always gonna sound good because those notes are really just kind of like in each other's wheelhouse, right? Whether it's major, whether it's minor. Now, traditionally, if you wanna stay in a key, you can just take a song with 3 of the traditional minor chords in a key. Let's take the key of C major, right? The minor chords are gonna happen on the 2nd, 3rd, and 6th degrees. So in the key of C, that would be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor. Okay, so we can make a D minor, E minor, A minor chord progression and use that same minor pentatonic shape over everything, and we're staying strictly in the key. That's the beautiful thing about minor pentatonic. It's always gonna work over minor chords really well, and it'll also work over major chords like we just talked about, right? Again, that's when it'll have the bluesy sound. You can just make it sound diatonic with something like this, all right? So we'll just do, we'll keep it simple. D minor to A minor to E minor. And then maybe back to A minor. Okay, so you probably know these chords. D minor, 1 on the high E string, 3 on the B string, 2 on the G string, open D. A minor, 1 B, 2 G, 2 D, and then E minor, just 2 E and 2 D, all right? So let's take just the first octave of that minor pentatonic shape in maybe a couple different spots. For A, we can keep it open. Open 3, open 2, open 2, right? Same as we did here, but we're just doing it in an open position. Same thing for E minor. We just start on an E. Same thing for D minor. I kind of like, we could do it here, D minor, and then compensate for the B string. So it's D, open 3, G, open 2, B string, 1, 3, or I like to kind of go into the fretboard, 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7. Okay, and then we can kind of do the same thing, right? D minor. I'm gonna do it in a waltz, right? Maybe A minor. E minor. So that's like an interesting thing where it's like we played the exact same thing in the A minor position, but playing it over an A minor chord can make it sound kind of sad, like the minor scale. Playing it over an A7 chord can make it sound bluesy. But I'm all staying in that same root minor pentatonic position, and it's always going to give me the appropriate results, right? Just unlike horse racing, when you get a good filly, You want to ride that hot streak straight to the bank. Get those trifectas and stuff. Because I know a lot about horse racing. As I'm sure you've all figured out by now. Another thing that you could be like, all right, well this sounds okay over the blues. It sounds okay over minor chords. Well, what about something like a little jazzy, or what about like a major 7 chord? This is kind of funny, right? So let's take the People's major 7 chord, G major 7. There's a couple different ways we can use this. I like this major 7 chord voicing where it's like the 3rd fret of the low E string, 4th fret of D and G, 3rd fret of B, maybe the 2nd fret on the high E string, or just the F sharp on the high E string. Now, you're gonna be like, all right, you're gonna play minor pentatonic over that. Well, some of it works, right? So if we just get G, it's like, does that really fit as far as what the chord's doing? I mean, not totally, but it's really not as bad as you would think. So the funny thing is, if you see a chord that you don't know what to solo over it, when in doubt, minor pentatonic. Now, again, the better answer would be when in doubt, pentatonic, right? Like if you see a G major something, major 7, major 9, 13, whatever, if you know the G major pentatonic also, right? Or like its relative minor pentatonic, that is probably a better bet, because if you want things to sound just kind of like pretty with each other, you want to match the major pentatonic with the major chord, minor pentatonic with the minor chord. You can get into this whole debate over what the tonal center is and whether you're playing major pentatonic or minor pentatonic. I'm really more specifically referring to the shapes of things. But really, I think you'll be surprised at how well some of these just like minor pentatonic licks are gonna work in places that they don't necessarily should work, right? So, all that being said, you should really learn full major scales. When in doubt, minor pentatonic. But just use that as a springboard to learning fuller arpeggios, right? Because if you really want to play like a major 7, something that goes with that, maybe learn a major 7 arpeggio. Arpeggios I think are the ways to really match chords, but pentatonic licks are a way to kind of cheat until you can kind of get into that, more appropriate thing. Or if you just wanted to be like, hey, just turn this thing on its side, just put those nasty minor pentatonic licks down wherever, because it just feels good to be a minor pentatonic. I'm not too much of a jerk to say it. I'm not that much of a snob, and it's not like I'll ever watch a guitar player and be like, oh, cool minor pentatonic solo, bro. What's the matter? Don't know your modes? Like that's dumb. Come on, just go with the flow. I think it's a great way to really start just kind of matching and being able to go along with chords. Specifically, it's a way to think quickly in chords that are maybe changing in a way that you're not used to, right? So again, some people will say it's a little bit of a crutch. I just think it's something that is gonna work more often than it's not gonna work, as long as you match up those root notes and then really have that be a framework where you can expand from there, okay? So, when in doubt, minor pentatonic. You probably shouldn't be gambling on horses if you're watching this video, just so you know. What you should be gambling on are licks for strings, because these babies last forever. It's so funny, when I first started buying them, it's like, man, these are like $16 a pack or whatever they were, when you can get cheaper strings for like $5. And then you just buy a pack of the cheap strings and you're like, oh, well that was stupid, because they break right away and they wear out right away. The elixir strings last forever. And I'm famously a low maintenance man. So please get yourself some elixirs. Thank you to them for sponsoring this video. They're going to see a bunch more stuff with them coming soon. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks a lot.